Hi, this is Sam Situation with your host Sam Rosen. Tonight we are going to take a look at a variety of topics that are just begging to be addressed by someone as insightful as I am. Let me start off the show by introducing my guest, Chris Sylvester, who is the host of Chris's Corner. Chris, how's it going?
On the show.
Sorry, what did you say?
It's great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here, Chris. We love having you on this show. The first topic tonight I want to address is the replacement referees in the NFL. After watching the NFL today, I was startled by how awful just horrendous calls by the replacement referees were. Particularly the fumble for a touchdown call in the overtime game that took place between the Chiefs and Saints. To me, this issue does not seem to be getting any better. Chris, do you think it's getting any better? Do you think the replacement refs are getting better at all?
No, I don't think so. You can't really completely change in a 4-game span for these replacement refs. Obviously, they had the preseason to kind of get used to things in the NFL, and it wasn't really brought up too much then. But after week 1, you already started hearing things about how it was the replacement refs' fault. But, on another level, I think it's easier to blame them because they are replacement referees. If regular referees were making this call, or were making these calls, I don't think you would see as much of a big deal about it. But since these guys are replacement refs, they get more of the blame put on them. And I agree with what you're saying. I was watching that Saints-Chiefs play. It was ridiculous. Thank goodness for instant replay, or else we would have had a terrible situation. The Chiefs ended up actually winning that game because of that play being called correctly. So obviously, it's the games have been dragging out. Things have not been going smoothly for football officials so far. These replacement refs, and hopefully the NFL and the real referees can come to an agreement soon on what's holding them out of reffing games so far.
Yeah, speaking of having an agreement, whose fault do you think this is, and who do you think should just give in? The NFL or the referees?
Well, it's clear to me that the NFL needs to give in. It's gotten it's gotten out of hand. It's garbage. It's terrible. It's awful. I mean, these guys are like substitute teachers, and nobody really respects them. The players don't respect them. The coaches don't respect them. And let's face it, the owners, the executives, and the media don't respect them. These guys are just a problem that's not going to get better anytime soon. It's not like they're suddenly going to figure it out. It's inevitable that it's going to cost somebody a game, because down the road, if we keep having these replacement referees, there's a chance that it might cost the team a ball game, and that could ultimately cost the team a chance to get into the postseason, and you go on from there. But I think certainly the NFL needs to give in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I've been watching these games very, very closely. I'm a huge football fan. I watch football every single Sunday with my family. It seems to me like this is almost starting to endanger player safety. You see players getting in huge fights. I just saw pretty recently in the Patriots game tonight, Logan Mankins and Haloti Ngata. They weren't going at it hard, but two big guys like that, there could be some serious consequences. Do you think the referees not handling games appropriately is starting to actually endanger some player safety here?
Well, it goes back to what I said. It's these guys are like substitute teacher, and like nobody really respects them. If you have a fight going on between two kids in the classroom, and a substitute teacher comes and breaks it up, you're not going to see this guy probably again. And if you're going to see him again, you're only going to see him again for a short period of time. These NFL replacement refs, players look at them and say, oh, these guys are just people that the NFL picked up off the streets. These guys don't know what they're doing. These guys don't know what they're talking about. They throw ridiculous flags in ridiculous situations, and it's just not good for the NFL, and that's why I think there's more fights breaking out, because the players flat out don't respect these replacement referees.
Last question about the referees here, then we're going to move on to a different topic. Okay, there's two lockouts going on. One we've been talking about for a little while here, the referees. Another one is the NHL player lockout, which I'm not a huge NHL fan, but I do understand that that's the second one in not that many years. Which is a bigger deal in the sporting world to you?
have one man's opinion completely different from the next guy. Myself, I'm not a huge NHL fan like yourself. We're both not huge NHL fans, but I think it's good for America and it's good for people in Canada team that hockey goes on. It's one of the four major sports. I think it's a bigger deal than the NFL replacement referee thing going on. Just because you're talking about something from a sport compared to a whole sport being taken away. So I think definitely that it'd be better to have the NHL back than replace these replacement refs with the real referees.
Okay, now let's move on to a different topic. Let's discuss the future of these Hall of Famers, I think. Most of these guys we're going to talk about here who are kind of just still hanging around in baseball, some doing better than others. There's a lot of them. I have 7 listed here that I'd like to discuss with you. They're still hanging around, and I want to know your opinion on what their futures are going to be like and their places in history in the game. Okay, so let's start here with the captain, the most prominent of these players who are getting up there in age, Derek Jeter. What can you tell us about Derek Jeter, how he's performed this season, and what do you look for him to do in the future?
Well, Derek Jeter has had an absolutely amazing season. He never ceases to amaze anybody. He's hitting 322 this season with 15 home runs and 57 RBIs. That's higher than his career numbers in the average department and just below in the on-base percentage department. But, this guy has had a ridiculous career, a 313 career average, 255 home runs, 1,253 RBIs, not to mention leading this team to a plethora of World Series. This guy also has a lot of gold gloves under his belt, also a Rookie of the Year award and a couple of Silver Sluggers. So Derek Jeter, no doubt he's going to get to the Hall of Fame, but this guy's not slowing up, and if you're not slowing up, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So Jeter should keep going until he just can't simply put up Derek Jeter type numbers anymore. You had that ridiculous situation earlier this season when Skip Bayless called him out for steroids. Come on, Skip. The guy has 15 home runs and 57 RBIs. It's not like this guy has hopped from a 5 home run guy a year to a 30 guy home run a year, kind of like a Jose Bautista situation a couple years back. Derek Jeter's clean. He's always been clean. He's always going to be clean. No doubt in my mind, Derek Jeter is first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I pretty much have to agree with everything you said right there. I hate the Yankees, but I love to see Derek Jeter play. One of the best shortstops all time, maybe the best of his generation. I've always, I think, disvalued Jeter a little bit. He never seemed like the best player in baseball to me, but when you look at the collective numbers he's put up, you're not going to see it come from too many other people, considering his numbers are astronomical. Like you already rattled off all of these, so I don't need to do that again. But Derek Jeter, just such an impressive career. Okay, let's move on to our next contestant on Name Your Hall of Famer, Chipper Jones, who is having a very, very good season himself, much like Jeter, a little bit of a career resurgence. But he says he's going to retire after this season. First off about him, will Chipper Jones retire this season?
I think he's going to, and I think it would. I think he's going to because he had the whole little speech at the All-Star game this past summer in Kansas City, and of course he had a standing ovation pretty much everywhere he goes. I remember just recently when the Braves were in San Diego for the final time this season, they honored Chipper Jones with like a personalized Chipper Jones surfboard. So each Major League Baseball team that Chipper Jones visits, they are doing something special for him to send him out of the game the right way. This guy deserves it. 304 career average, 468 career home runs. That's the most ever among switch hitters. 1,622 career. And he's having another great season like you talked about this year. A 295 average, 14 home runs, and 61 RBIs. Not exactly getting the same at-bats that he had been earlier in his career. Slowing it down a bit. You can't DH in the National League, so, the Braves like to spare him every once in a while at third base, but he still does a fine job defensively and with the bat. Chipper Jones, the only way I don't see him retiring is if the Braves don't win that play-in game to the wild card, which I think they will. But if they don't, that's the only way I can see a minimal chance of him coming back, but I'd say he's done after this season no matter what.
You know, personally, I disagree with you about Chipper coming back. I think he will. I don't think he's going to be able to stay away from the game for very long. Maybe for a season or so, and then he'll come back. He's putting up too good of numbers, in my opinion, not to come back. You're not going to see too many guys go out hitting close to 300 on a playoff team and just being as good of a player as Chipper Jones is. So that's my personal opinion on him. Okay, now let's take a look at another shortstop, another guy on the left side of the infield. He's 45 years old. We're talking about Omar Vizquel here, people. Omar Vizquel, not exactly the greatest offensive shortstop ever. Only 80 home runs, 951 RBIs, only hit 272, never hit. He's only hit over 300 one time his entire career. But we're talking about one of the greatest defensive shortstops ever, and he's really continued this for just an exceptional amount of years. Chris, you think Vizquel is going to play next season and the seasons beyond?
Well, he said at age 41, I believe, after his with the San Francisco Giants, that he was going to be finished, but on the first day of free agency, he wound up signing a one-year deal with the Chicago White Sox. So, you know, it's really unpredictable for this guy. He's not an everyday guy. Hasn't been an everyday guy for about 6 or 7 years now. But, you know, he says he's done after this season. I wouldn't doubt it. He doesn't have any eye-opening numbers this season, only hitting 234, half an homer, 7 RBIs. I mean, he's still a guy that can slap the ball the other way. He's one of the best defensive shortstops that this game has ever seen. He's one of the best players ever to come out of Venezuela. So, certainly, he'll be a player that will be missed when he's done playing baseball, but, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come next year.
Now, when Vizquel retires, there is a little bit of debate about his Hall of Fame candidacy because he's not exactly known as a great hitter. Well, he wasn't a great hitter at all. And it's very tough for a great defensive player like him to get into the Hall of Fame. Ozzie Smith did it. Will he get in on his first try, or is it going to take him a number of years to get in?
I think he'll eventually get in, but I think it's going to take him a few extra years than it would some other players that have better numbers ahead of Vizquel. You know, like you said, the guy doesn't have dazzling numbers in his career. This guy's never been a offensive force, really. He's never really been a catalyst like Ozzie Smith was in his time. Obviously, Smith wasn't the greatest hitter, but had a little bit of better numbers than Vizquel did. Of course, that legendary walk-off home run against the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series in the 80s. But you look at Omar Vizquel's career numbers, and the one number that really stands out that you can't ignore, and this is a lot of times the key to getting into the Hall of Fame or not getting into the Hall of Fame, he is 126 hits shy of 3,000 for his career. That's a very eye-opening number right there. He's 2,874 hits in his career. Obviously, he's been playing a long time, 23 years. Got 45, like you said. Guy's barely got any hair left on his head, but he's still out there balling every single day, and he is giving 100% of his effort when he's in the lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays. But, you know, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back next year and possibly the year after if anybody wants him. I'm sure he would love to get to the 3,000 mark, and, you know, he's very close, but I don't know if he'll get the at-bats for the rest of his career to get there. But certainly if he does, I think he'll get in one of the first 2 years. If not, then I think it might take him 5 or 6 years to get in.
Yep, all very, very strong points there. Now let's go look at a first baseman who has really started to slow down in recent years, but still a very productive player over there in Colorado. We're talking about Todd Helton here. Helton, his numbers for his career are very, very strong. The 354 home runs, 1,345 RBIs. He's led the league in numerous categories before. He's been a top 20 MVP guy numerous times. Maybe not as eye-popping as some guys on this list, but he's been playing at such a high level for so long. Now, at 38 years old, looks like it's about time for him to maybe start thinking about calling it quits. First